It all started with a simple idea.
I think the future of local news is all about community.
The future of local news is exciting in my mind. It is robust.
The future of local news is New Jersey. It's exactly what is happening here, because I believe the future of local news is bottom-up ecosystems.
A new framework for understanding the information landscape not as a collection of individual silos, but as an interconnected ecosystem of journalists, information providers, and media organizations of all shapes and sizes. We called it the New Jersey News Commons.
Jersey News Commons is an initiative to try to strengthen journalism in the state and to see what can happen if news organizations work cooperatively.
Of course, fostering this kind of cooperation at this scale within an industry that has a history steeped in capitalist competition and organizational mistrust would prove to be challenging at times. But in 2012, the center had a secret weapon. Her name was Debbie Gallant.
So what has cropped up is a lot of individuals who used to work at mainstream media or who never worked at mainstream media who've said, I'm going to build something myself.
With the support of the Dodge and Knight Foundation and a base at Montclair State University, Debbie traveled from city to city, meeting and speaking with newsroom leaders and entrepreneurs from all over the state, working to build a foundation of trust and cooperation.
We are multimedia website, so meaning that we not only post like articles, but we do have pictures and videos, and we are bilingual.
We're very excited about the fact of being part of New Jersey News Commons.
A lot of things get missed in the normal media chain.
We started an online news site that focuses on policy issues.
A third of our listeners are in New Jersey, and we are providing them with more news and information about what's going on in the state every day.
Then Superstorm Sandy hit.
Hurricane Sandy was one of the biggest stories to ever hit New Jersey.
Before the center even had its website up and running, Debbie and the Center for Cooperative Media managed to rally the efforts of 8 hyperlocal news sites and the information crowdsourcing phenomenon known as Jersey Shore Hurricane News to work together on a disaster response campaign, which they dubbed NJ Sandy, a multi-day collaborative live blog campaign to distribute critical information to New Jersey residents and share resources between the state's newsrooms in the wake of the storm. It was from the very depths of that chaos, with the help of a little creativity and a lot of collaborative spirit, that the Center for Cooperative Media was truly born. Over the next 4 years, the center would grow to include not just dozens, but hundreds of local news organizations and reporters across New Jersey. So did the number and variety of trainings and grant programs and resources it offered to the partners, including a series of statewide conferences focused on issues at the core of any would-be successful local news operation, including one on innovation, sustainability, and local engagement, which is where the idea for Report for America was first unveiled. The center staff also grew and changed over the years. In 2013, Judon Marshall came on as the center's new director, and a year later, Mary Mann left her position as coordinator at the center to co-found Village Green, a hyperlocal news site serving South Orange and Maplewood. A few months later, they hired this guy. Debbie, Judon, and I worked over the next year to organize statewide collaborative reporting projects involving major New Jersey news organizations and a host of hyperlocal independent outlets from across the state. Judon would eventually leave the center to co-found a media startup called Life Posts with Steve Waldman. Then, in early 2016, after a successful battle with cancer and a long and storied career, Debbie stepped away as associate director of the center and retired. The center was down to just 1 employee. Enter Stephanie Murray and our new research director, Sarah Stonbely. Brought on board by then director of the School of Communication and Media, Merrill Brown, Sarah, Stephanie, and I got to work building out the center's internal infrastructure and setting up the research wing of our operation, as well as our new collaborative journalism program. Following the Sustain Local Summit in 2016, Sarah presented the center's first major research project at the 2017 Collaborative Journalism Summit, Comparing Models of Collaborative Journalism, which has gone on to be translated into several different languages and is still frequently cited today as one of the preeminent and authoritative pieces on the field of collaborative journalism. Later that year, after another round of layoffs in Gannett newsrooms across the state, the center was determined to do something, anything, to address the issue in New Jersey. Sarah immediately began working on a report aimed at examining the effects that these newsroom layoffs were having on the coverage of the communities that lost their reporters, and the center hosted a roundtable and networking event at Montclair State for journalists who had recently lost their jobs. 2017 at the center was all about more collaboration at a bigger table with different voices. We started the year by partnering with New America Media and their nationwide network of ethnic and diaspora media partners and NJ Advance Media to host a roundtable discussion with representatives from New Jersey's ethnic and community press. In April, we organized a second roundtable, this time with representatives from the state's Spanish language media. We took the lessons from those events and later applied them to the 2017 Voting Block Collaborative Reporting Project. We also launched the Collaborative Journalism Database in 2018. Maintained by Mariela Santos Muñiz, this vast compendium of collaborative reporting projects contains information about more than 3,500 collaborations from around the world. After welcoming Oni Advincula as our new Ethnic and Community Media Coordinator and Denise Shannon as our Administrative Coordinator, we also helped to launch the Community Engagement and Participatory Journalism project known as Stories of Atlantic City. Toward the end of the year, we created the New Jersey College News Commons, a network of colleges and universities across the Garden State, you guessed it, working together and collaborating. The center went into 2019 excited and optimistic about the future of our work and the field. We started the year with our third round of DEI travel grants, aimed at helping New Jersey journalists attend trainings, events, and conferences hosted by organizations that work toward improving diversity, equity, and inclusion in media. A week later, we announced that the third annual Collaborative Journalism Summit would be held in May at WHYY Studios in Philadelphia. The 2019 summit broke all of our records for attendance, and we actually ran out of food toward the end, but it was clear that the summit was here to stay. In February, we released the Audience Explorer Dashboard by Ned Burke, a free analytics dashboard for small and medium-sized news publishers. Later that month, we announced the winners of our now annual Excellence in New Jersey Local News Awards, and we launched the Peer Learning and Collaboration Fund, an initiative supported by the Democracy Fund and spearheaded by Denise Shannon to accelerate peer learning, relationship building, and collaboration among journalists and media makers across the U.S. In June, the center published a new report on the state of ethnic and community media in New Jersey, authored by Sarah Stonbly and Oni Advincula, which documented a robust and optimistic, yet under-resourced and underappreciated sector of at least 119 community and ethnic press outlets serving New Jersey. The Peer Fund also continued to grow, awarding $15,000 in grants to support peer-to-peer learning for journalists from Philly to California to Alaska, plus another round of DEI travel grants, and in November, through a partnership with the Ethics and Excellence in Journalism Foundation and Inasmuch Foundation, we announced grants to support 5 collaborations in Oklahoma City of up to $9,400 each. Finally, with the 2020 census lurking just around the corner and the Trump administration already attempting to muddy the waters around historically marginalized and undercounted communities, the center launched the NJ Media Counts Project to help make sure New Jersey's vulnerable and traditionally undercounted communities were properly represented in the census. We worked with our longtime funder, the Dodge Foundation, on a grant to provide stipends to ethnic and community reporters to produce a series of local community forums and in-depth reporting on New Jersey's Gujarati, Turkish, African American, Hindi, Hungarian, Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Filipino, Chinese, and Latino communities. Between these upcoming events and programs, and a range of other activities in 2019, and the optimistic developments around the New Jersey Civic Information Bill, it felt like the center had really come into its own as an organization.
This morning, I signed an executive order directing nearly all of our 9 million residents to quite simply Stay at home. Stay at home. Stay at home.
During those few first months of the year, while everyone could still meet in person, the center was still focused on running all of its events and programs and trainings. But it was only a matter of time. Once the lockdowns initiated, it was clear this thing wasn't going anywhere. So the center did really the only thing it knows how to do. The first thing we did was reach out to our partners to see what they needed. That input, along with a lot of what we'd learned from our previous work over the years, helped us mold a three-pronged approach for the early stages of the pandemic. We focused on information sharing, resource sharing, and funding. There was so much going on, but we worked out an arrangement with NJ Spotlight News to provide all of its COVID-19 coverage to our partners for republication for free, a pop-up daily newsletter sharing those stories and other reporting resources. We made arrangements to provide shared graphics and photos, also for free. We sent out daily communications with COVID-19 related resources and journalism funding opportunities. We also started translating COVID-19 content into Spanish, English, and Korean. We also created 2 COVID reporting fellowships, one to support ethnic media reporters covering the pandemic, and another to support freelancers and to cover some of the costs of any new equipment they needed. A few months in, Stephanie got word that NorthJersey.com was working on a project called Loved and Lost, with the goal of documenting and remembering the lives of every New Jersey resident who was lost to the disease. Dan Sforza and his team at North Jersey quickly agreed to bring us on as collaborators, and that project continues to this day. We also had to completely rethink our event strategy, as everything was now completely virtual and almost no one knew how to use Zoom. Projects like the Peer Learning and DEI travel grants were completely up in the air, and right before the lockdown was initiated, we had unfortunately publicly announced that the Collaborative Journalism Summit would be coming to North Carolina in May 2020. We decided to take the summit completely virtual, which meant it would be the first major journalism conference in the US to take place completely on Zoom. After the summit, which was thankfully a success, the center published a series of new reports, research, and collaborative workbooks. And in December, we released a full report on all of the election-related programs and support we provided during the 2020 elections. In the early months of 2021, as vaccines were becoming available, but many were still either hesitant or outright defiant, the center decided to host press briefings about the vaccine rollout and response in New Jersey. In October, ONI was even able to secure an exclusive press briefing for New Jersey News Commons members right before the gubernatorial election with Governor Murphy himself. After looking through the early findings of our news ecosystem mapping project, we decided to team up with the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists to address the growing lack of news and information produced with and for communities of color, especially in South Jersey. We dubbed the initiative the South Jersey Information Equity Project, and it's currently led by our new Assistant Director of Programming and Membership, Cassandra Etienne, along with Coordinator Adrian Baldock. Later, the center would go on to start Stories Invincible, led by Project Coordinator Reet Starwind, with a similar goal of producing restorative narratives about the residents and communities in Camden, New Jersey. In December, we rolled out a long overdue revamp of the New Jersey News Commons membership structure with new tiers, benefits, and a sharper focus on individual memberships in addition to our organizational relationships. The last 10 years at the center have flown by, although the last 2 years somehow feel even longer. We can't know what will happen or what to expect over the next 10 years. And 2022 has already been quite the ride. But whatever happens, we're glad to have partners, funders, and friends like you here with us for the journey. So, here's to another 10 years of Cooperative Media.